Okay. Good morning, my loves. I'm trying to work out. Morning. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Okay, let me just check one more thing. Okay, maybe not. Okay, let me see if this... Okay, I'm just going to leave it there before I stuff it up. Good morning. How are we doing? Oh, what's happening here? Okay, is this working now? Sorry, I'm trying to organize my technology to go live on Instagram as well as Facebook. And I'm trying to do it in a way where I can, if I talk this way, I'm talking at both cameras. So, good morning from Sydney, Australia. My name is Dijana. Welcome to my broadcast, my live. And I have to say to you straight up, I've been concerned about doing this live. I still am, especially given the state of the world at the moment, the kind of disclosure that's coming up for to be witnessed, for us to see all the injustices, all the really yucky, horrible, terrible stuff that had been in the shadows up until this point, that is surfacing for us again to notice, to witness, to see, to hear. Really, can I just, I mean, I'm about to swear, so close your ears if you don't want to hear it. But fucking god awful, terrible stuff. I'm not going to go into that. However, as a direct result of this coming into the light, there's an intrinsic understanding that we are here not only to witness the shit coming up, to be healed, to be cleansed, to be purged, to be transmuted, to be neutralized, so there is no goddamn more of this rubbish, utter manipulation, the controls, the you know, just the, oh, yeah, just the terrible stuff. But from the perspective, and I'm going to be very clear now, so let's not muck around. The work that I do is about raising collective consciousness. It's about sharing my stories. It's about journeying with those that are ready to do this work, to support, to tell stories, to share my channels, to share divine guidance. At no time am I in the business of any kind of making any kind of political statements or taking any sides or seeing the world only from the 3D perspective. So please, with the deepest compassion and love, I ask you, don't bother me with just that sort of shit. I'm going to talk about healing the collective shadow. But what I'm asked to do by Spirit, by my higher guidance, by my divine team, is to talk to you about how, what the perspective is when it's seen more from up high. So it's like if you had something going on in your backyard and you could see it at the level of your eyesight, right, on the same level, but then you had the opportunity to climb up on the roof of your house and see it from up above, yeah? So you would see more, you would understand the bigger picture, yeah? So I'm going to talk to you about this today from that bigger picture collective, from the perspective of the soul's journey and soul's evolution. My hope that at the end of this conversation, I will at the very least potentially plant some seeds of compassion, plant some seeds of deeper understanding, plant some seeds of hope, and so that we can all play our not just human part in this change, but our soul part in this change. It is so incredibly important that we begin to understand this, because if all we're going to do is be stuck in fear and hatred and separation, it is very difficult to achieve. In fact, history tells us how many thousands of years of historical evidence do we have that if we are unable to rise above the separation and the hatred and the fear, the problem doesn't get fixed. It doesn't go away. It either mutates into something new and probably even more horrible, or it just stays exactly where it is, perpetuating even more hatred and separation. So, here's the thing that I am asked to remind you. When we reincarnate, and so please again remember that I'm talking spiritual, metaphysical concepts here. When the soul, the conscious lump of energy, if you will, gets reincarnated into another lifetime through a physical body or through the process of, you know, a woman falling pregnant and gestating for 9 months, and, you know, this beautiful life is born. Every time this happens, the soul has a purpose. At soul consciousness level, oh, hello, beautiful Sabrina. How you doing? I just saw you pop up. At soul consciousness level, yeah, every time we reincarnate, we have a purpose, and the purpose is most likely to experience something and then to contribute in some way to not just your own evolution as a soul, having experienced another aspect of physical existence, but also to contribute in some way to, therefore, the evolution of the collective consciousness. Now, so far I haven't told you anything that you don't already know. And I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know. This is purely a reminder, but it is the kind of reminder that you may not like to hear, which is why I've been procrastinating going live about this. But it's really important that we take responsibility, that we remember what we wanted to learn in this life, and take responsibility for our part in that journey. So, here's why I tell you this. The soul, or at the perspective of the soul, and you will hear other people talk about this as well, at the perspective of the soul, there's essentially no right or wrong. We are here in the physical to experience polarity consciousness, right? So the opposite, yeah? So one has a direct effect on the other, and nature is always looking to balance itself out, yeah? So, how do we know, or do we learn, what is at either end of the experience? The right, wrong, the dark, the light, the yin and the yang, the masculine, the feminine. We learn what that is by being it, by having an experience of it. So, let me say that again and see if you understand this. We learn by having the experience of it. So, we may, and you already know this, again, reincarnate as in the body of a woman, in the body of a man, or, you know, girl bits, boy bits, yeah? We may reincarnate and choose to have the lesson of a peasant, of a knight, of a king or a queen, of a witch or a wizard, of an animal, a dolphin, a parasite, a very low consciousness form, simply having the experience of that survival. We may choose to reincarnate in more specific ways, choose to experience the creative energy of a dancer or a writer or a painter or musician. We may choose to experience a very rigid lifetime of someone that is very strongly anchored in the physical experience and follows the rules, the human rules, for whatever reason. Because the truth is, how are you going to know freedom and what freedom of expression, freedom of following your own bliss feels like if you have not experienced the opposite of that, which is the inability to have freedom, to be chained in some way, to be born into a family that's very, you know, maybe domineering, or to live in a world or a culture that is very directive, authoritarian, etc. How do we know? We learn, we get familiar through experience, yeah? And so I hope you're following me so far. We're in 15 minutes into this video, and this basically is the basis of what I'm about to remind you of. Remind you of. There have been lifetimes where your soul, for the purposes of experience, teaching, learning, chose to reincarnate and be the bad guy. Call it what you will, in whatever shape or form. In fact, I promise you that even in this life, with an open heart and the best and purest intentions, you have been the bad guy for somebody at some point in your life. Can you remember a lifetime where you weren't all love and light? If you are playing the role or having the experience of being love and light in this lifetime, of being a light worker or star seed, helping raise, being in this mission of helping raise collective consciousness and holding the light on this planet. At some stage, there is a very good chance, 99.9% sure, that there is a chance that you reincarnated, you chose to have the experience of, God knows what. When I remembered a lifetime where I wasn't all that love and light, let me tell you, where I used my status to murder for self-interest, it took me the longest time to heal this, to accept that this was possible, and then to forgive myself, to understand how that karmic cycle then started, and how in this lifetime I got the opportunity to close that karmic cycle, to equalize the injustice, to give back in a way that is of service to that energy. I'm pausing for a minute because I really want you to consider this, because what's the next step from what am I about to say to you now? You know what I'm about to say to you now. I'm about to say to you that when you turn around, when you look around, and you look at those god-awful things that are coming up to be cleared, that those souls that are triggering these events by behaving in ways that are absolutely no longer acceptable, what if they are the highest and the wisest souls that have volunteered to come here and play the part of an utter horror, so that this energy can come up and we get the opportunity to heal it, to come together? What if this is about compassion? What if this is this awakening, or waking up to this utter shit is about learning to forgive ourselves and things we've done in past lives? What if the simple answer to this is that you go within and you do the fucking work? You go within and you remember the lifetimes where you wanted to, your soul wanted to have the experience of the bad guy. And you face yourself in that way. Not just your shadow, your fears and all of that sort of stuff from this lifetime, but integrate all of that. And when you can forgive yourself, you help dissolve collective hatred, collective separation. This mentality that someone's got to pay and we have to point the finger and then punish in the most horrendous way. What if that is not really I don't know, healing the collective? Maybe it is necessary. It's absolutely necessary that we acknowledge. It's absolutely necessary that we say out loud, it is not okay. Fuck you, it's not okay. It's not okay that you can murder cold-heartedly another human being. And we are not going to look away anymore. We're going to face you. And as we face you, we understand that you are on some level a direct reflection of something inside of us. And we're going to heal that. Your soul is part of an infinite oneness in the universe, or of the universe. There is nothing, not a goddamn thing that you do or you are that I am not a reflection of, and vice versa. We need to stop dealing with shadow energy as righteous motherfuckers that just point the finger and scream and shout and don't take any responsibility for it ourselves. And I say we, I mean we. All. You know, anger and frustration is a necessary tool right now, because it helps, like, propel negative, dense suppression feelings, you know, that just fester. or can fester inside of us. However, fear is not good. Anger is no good to anybody if it's then used and continues to be used as a weapon of mass destruction. Because then the truth is that how are we then any better than the or the other? It does nothing to heal, to come together. It just keeps us in separation and perpetuates more of the same shit, let's face it. And yet it's so important. And how many of us have the wisdom to know when is fear and anger a healthy tool, and when does it then turn into nothing but purest, like I said, weapon of mass destruction. You know how many of us? Every single one of us. Because if I have it, then you at the very least will have the potential to consciously choose it. At the very least. Because again, from the perspective, from the higher perspective, I am you. I really, genuinely, like energy, because energy is all that is, right? We have this body, but really it's energy. And my energy interacts with yours, interacts with everybody on this world, every living organism. But this is not just about remembering oneness. This is actually about remembering that there is that at soul level, the soul is choosing to experience something. And sometimes the soul will choose to experience what in the physical life we may deem to be the bad guy. I will give you an example and then I'm going to close. So as I was processing this information and processing what Spirit was asking me to pay forward in terms of information, I wondered if oh my God, do I even want to say this? No, I won't. I'm sorry. I'm going to retract this for the time being. So I'm going to start closing, and the way I'm going to start closing is I'm going to offer that you join me in part 2 of this video, which I'm going to do over the next few days, where I'm actually going to run through a sort of a meditation session, a way for us to connect and allow information to come in from our past lives, and then see if we can work through, if I can together see if we can work through together some of this energetic charge, some of this density, and begin to heal the collective shadow. Because the shadow of the part of the reason why there's such a huge uproar is because we are pissed off at those that we deem evil, because they are simply aspects of us that we don't like within us. So let's see if we can connect with those aspects. Let's see if we can have courage to go back and observe and see where those things are coming from, see the things that we don't like, and see if we can begin to offer ourselves some compassion and some forgiveness, so that we can then ripple that energy out into the world and begin to dissolve and neutralize some of the anger and some of the fear, and begin to heal some of the division and come more into unity. Because I promise you that there's no 5D, there's no freaking unity consciousness, there's no any of that beautiful shit available to us if we can't do this. It's as simple as that. Period. There can be no separation. There is no separation in the higher realms of frequency. And we're either going to do it now as with our wisdom and use our wisdom to do this, or we are going to be dragged basically by first creating utter horror on this planet if we don't destroy ourselves first. I decided to pull, I was really drawn to these cards, the Indigo Angel Oracle cards, because it felt right that the Indigos are here with a strong mission, yeah, on this planet. And part of this mission is to begin to break down that authority, that rigidity of the 3D paradigm as real old structures. And I wanted to pull a couple of cards and see what comes out with regards to some divine messages for us as we go through this part. And two fell out, and they are, the first one is, oops, where are we? Pray. Oops, can you see that? Far out. I'm so spastic with showing these, honestly. Pray. And compassion. Look at that. What have I just been saying? So let's just put these two together and we get our message from the divine, from our high self, from our divine team. Let's collectively pray for compassion and hold each other ever so gently, ever so tightly in each other's arms, with understanding, with deeper understanding, not forgetting that we all have the right to be here and we all have a purpose. And on that note, I want to thank you for your compassion, for listening to this with an open heart and an open mind. I will announce again when I'm going to do the more guided work, the channeled work, so I hope to see you then. Much love to you, my loves. Have a great day. Bye. Okay. And oops.